Hello.
See you guys. Bye.
Drive carefully.
I will. Hi. Thomas. Lucy. Dad. Come on. Okay, you ready to go again?
I can't do this.
You can. You're doing great.
And then this one. Good to go?
Yeah, look, we're all waiting for you.
Hello, I'm Tim Peake and I'm extremely proud to be a Scout ambassador. Scouting started me on an incredible journey. As a Cub Scout, I never dreamed that one day I'd be looking at our beautiful planet from space. Scouting set me on the right path at a young age because I loved the outdoors and I loved adventure. It gave me an opportunity to discover new interests, explore new boundaries, and build the confidence to achieve new goals. Scouting was the first step on a journey that led me to becoming an astronaut. I once heard a great quote, "Look up at the stars, but keep your feet on the ground." That's a great philosophy for life and a great philosophy for the Scouts too. Dream big, stay positive, and learn as many skills as you can. And don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something you've set your heart on. With the right people, the right attitude, and the right skills, anything is possible. Join the Scouts and learn skills for life.
See you guys. Bye.
Drive carefully.
I will.
Hi. Thomas. Lucy.
Dad. Come on. Okay, you ready to go
I really
again?
can't do this.
You can. You're doing great.
And then this one. Good to go?
Say hi.
Okay. Yeah. Look, we're all waiting for you.
See you guys. Bye.
Drive carefully.
I will. names?
Lucy.
Lucy. Dad. Come on. Okay, you ready to go
I really
again?
can't do this.
You can. You're doing great.
And then this one. Good to go?
Should we go over there and say hi?
Okay, yeah. Look, they're all waiting for you.
Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
Make sure your screen's not maximised. For those who are watching on the YouTube channel, if you want to ask any questions, if you email them to secretary@Cheshire Scouts. And with that, I'll hand over to Peter.
Good evening. I hope you've got all that. I call upon Charlotte O'Brien, the Youth Commissioner from Audley District, sorry, the District Youth Commissioner from Audley District, to open the meeting with a reflection. Charlotte.
Thank you. I'd like to start with a part of a poem called The Great Realization by Tom Roberts. We'd always had our wants, but now it got so quick. You could have had everything you dreamed of in a day and with a click. We noticed families had stopped talking. That's not to say they never spoke, but the meaning must have melted and the work-life balance broke. And the children's eyes got squarer and every toddler had a phone. They filtered out the imperfections, but amidst the noise, they felt alone. And every day the sky grew thicker till we couldn't see the stars. So we flew in planes to find them, while down below we filled our cars. We'd drive around all day in the circles, we'd forget how to run. We swapped out grass for tarmac, shrunk the parks till there were none. We filled the seas with plastic, cause our waste was never capped, until each day when you went fishing, you'd pour them out already wrapped. And while we drank and smoked and gambled, our leaders taught us why it's best not to be upset, the lobbies, more convenient to die. But then in 2020, a new virus came our way. The government reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we were all hidden amidst the fears and all the while, the people dusted off their instincts. They remembered how to smile. They started clapping to say thank you and call upon their mums. And while the car keys were gathering dust, they would look forward to their runs. With the skies less full of planes, the earth began to breathe. And the beaches brought new wildlife that scattered off into the seas. Some people started dancing, some were singing, some were baking. We'd grown so used to bad news, but some good news was in the making. And so when we found the cure and we were all allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to the one we left behind. Old habits became extinct and they made the way for the new, and very simple act of kindness was now given its due. But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together? Well, sometimes you've got to be sick, my boy, before you start to feel better. So let's put this into a scouting perspective. Over 100 years of scouting, we are constantly evolving and bringing the programs up to date. But this year has probably seen the biggest revolution we've had to face, thrown headfirst into a digital world as we are required to distance from each other. In scouting, this change was not an obstacle, but a challenge everyone has risen to, and you should all be proud. You've created a virtual scouting world with weekly meetings over Zoom, interactive online badges and challenges. County even hosted an online camp, Virtual Cube, which is both incredible and well received. Nothing feels out of our creative limits, and in spite of being socially distant, we are perhaps better connected, more creative, and ultimately more determined than ever to ensure no one misses out on the opportunities scouting has to offer. But what will it take forward from this when we inevitably go back to normal? Well, it's interesting, because before the pandemic, we sometimes took our world for granted. Young people sometimes had an unhealthy relationships with technology. We were modernizing scouting to attract the younger generations without always engaging properly with our older generations. But since a few months ago, when the world changed, we now have our older generations more engaged with digital technologies and the younger people who miss the adrenaline for the outdoors and adventure. It's ingredients to make a perfect balance of both traditional and modern scouting. So it could be possible that COVID has come as a blessing. Maybe this reflection time will create good in all of scouting for the future to come. We just needed a change in perspective. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Charlotte. That was quite deep and meaningful. Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Cheshire County Scout Council, I would like to welcome you all to the first ever AGM of the Cheshire County Scout Council online. In particular, our Regional Commissioner, Nisba Hussain, who is our guest speaker. We look forward to hearing what you have to say and to welcoming you to Cheshire in person when this is all over. We also welcome Will Burnham, District Commissioner for Audley District, who would have hosted us in person this evening, but seems to have got off lightly. But he will give us a vote of thanks. But before we start our AGM, we need to ask Council's permission for a temporary change to the Constitution to allow the AGM to take place online this evening. So I'll ask you, all those in favour and all against.
So if you select, if you select in favour or against and then submit button, if you have any issues with that, just check your screen isn't maximised because that will stop you voting.
How are we doing?
Peter, you're muted.
Our meeting online. Right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Peter.
Well, thank you. Our president, Sir William Bromley Davenport, is unable to join the meeting this year, and he sends his apologies and good wishes for the next 12 months, particularly in these challenging times. Sir William has suggested that Mrs. Val Thomason could take his part in the meeting this evening, a suggestion which I, as chairman, am very happy to support. Therefore, I ask for Council's approval for Val Thomason to preside over the AGM. Well, Val, 100%. Val, thank you, everybody. Val, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening, everyone. It's a great honour to actually step into Bill's shoes tonight. But first of all, I would like to call upon our Acting County Secretary, Janet Williamson, to give the apologies.
Good evening, everyone. There have been 13 apologies received, which are indicated on the Council membership list, which is available electronically to members of the Council.
Thank you, Janet. The minutes from last year were circulated electronically to members of the Council prior to the meeting. Could I ask the Council's approval for the approval of the minutes, please? Thank you, everyone. I'd like now to call on Peter to present the annual report of the County Executive Committee. Peter.
Oops. I'm out. Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where you were on the 31st of December 2019 or what your thoughts were. Bobsky and I were in the Austrian Alps, and as the fireworks lit up the clear crystal sky and the explosions and bangs echoed from the mountains, my thoughts were not on the COVID-19 virus, it hadn't arrived, nor on scouting, but as the New Year's celebrations started, so our 2019 financial year came to a close. And had I been reflecting on scouting, my thoughts would have been something like, what a great team, what a good year, and how wonderful that something like 13,000 young people are gaining skills for life through scouting. We are improving not just their lives now, but their lifetime, not just changing their lives, but changing lives for life. So, how has this year been? First, the Executive Committee. The Executive Committee members are there for their individual responsibilities and skills, thereby giving autonomy and efficiency. The work of the Executive is done through its members and its subcommittees, principally of finance, major events, campsites, development, including growth, inclusivity, community impact, youth-shaped scouting, adult support, Freemasons, health, safety and safeguarding, and appointments. We have our office in Lim and hold our executive meetings there from the offices of Bright Futures, and are grateful to Paul O'Leary for his support. This year, as you may know, our secretary, Sue Appleton, had to resign for personal reasons. She has been with us for many years, through thick and thin, a stalwart, well organized, and a quick and accurate minute taker, and cutting through organizing AGMs such as this, like a knife through butter. Nothing is too much trouble for her. We thank her for her loyalty, support, and time given over many years. Her role was taken on by Janet Williamson as the Executive Meeting Secretary, John Dewley for the annual census, and by Nigel Flatman and David Hopley for this annual general meeting. Janet will be appointed, if you agree, as our new secretary at this meeting. So, what have we achieved this year? Your county treasurer will give you the finances, so I won't go into detail other than to say that our finances remain strong, and thankfully so, as with the events that have taken place this year, they need to be. Your county commissioner will let you know what we achieved last year and the extraordinary developments that have taken place this year and how we are handling them. The only mention that I will make in respect of COVID-19 is to say that we are fortunate that the structure of scouting is such as it is, a confederation of individual charitable organizations. We are like a honeycomb, a body made up of individual cells and so aligned that if one cell be weak, it will be supported by the structure of the comb around it, to the extent that even if a cell should fail, the structure will still stand strong. The work that your executive committee has put in over the years has ensured that we are strong and prepared for most eventualities. The county's biggest asset is the Forest Camp Activity Centre at Sandyway. This year, we have looked at all ways, literally, of access to the site without upsetting the residents on the access road. And I am pleased to say that after a lot of hard work by the campsite's executive committee, a solution has been found whereby we use Abbott's Moss next door for parking at all major events, and individuals then trek in on foot. It was tested and worked well for the Halloween camp. With access now secure, we can concentrate on the sewage treatment and removal. The campsite is an SSI and existing arrangements are not sufficient. This will be a costly undertaking, and we are in the process of getting a quotation in conjunction with the refurbishment or replacement of the Begg building, so that we have a plan to lay on the table on our quest looking for grant funding on a 50-50 basis. At last year's AGM, we had already had our awards dinner, the Cheshire Hike, the Cheshire Show, and the County Scout Sunday service at Chester Cathedral, and these were covered in my report last year. In May, a cub and beaver camp for 2020 was proposed and accepted by the Executive Committee, and planning started with the name Cube, capital C, U, capital B, E. July saw blue smoke from our newly installed generator at Tatton, and Nisba Hussain appointed as our regional commissioner. The two events are not related. Nisba is here this evening, and we look forward to hearing from what you have to say. The generator, thankfully, is operating smoothly, and at the recommendation of the Finance Committee, it has become a county asset and not a cost to the campsites. The committee has also agreed to fund for a new floor for the tented village to preserve the lives of the tents, and for 2 cave buses, one at Forest and one at Tatton, on an annual rental basis. The OSM, that's the computer organization for scout groups, the rollout started at the beginning of the year, that's last year, and in September, the executive approved to fund it fully in the first year to ensure its full rollout. In September, the Cheshire Hike was relaunched together with a new online booking system set up by David Hopley. In November, we received a £2,000 legacy from the estate of Ron Fawkes. And in October, thankfully, we drew a line under our dispute with Gilwell over the development funding issue, which I mentioned last year, and settled within our budget provision. And in December, the accounts of our pirate-themed Jamboree of 2018 were closed with a positive result. So, as Bobsky and I looked through the night sky and into the new year, the Executive Committee looked forward to plans for 2020 coming into place, starting with Winter Camp, the relaunched Cheshire Hike, Eurojam with the largest British contingent coming from Cheshire, and our first Cubs and Beavers camp, Cube. Graham and Edward will tell you what happened next. I will finish by saying that your county commissioner has built up a strong and ongoing team in the county and on the executive, with the right people in place to run the county effectively. Your executive committee worked hard, tirelessly, and enthusiastically throughout the year of 2019 and continue to do so this year more than ever. We are not perfect, but strive to do our best. On the 31st of December 2019, we were well prepared. I thank the County Commissioner and all the members of the Executive Committee for their hard work and commend this, the report of the Executive Committee, to you. Thank you.
Peter, thank you for such a good report. I'd like to now call on the County Treasurer, Edward Appleton, to present the annual statement of accounts for the year ending the 31st of December 2019. Edward.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues in Scouting, I present to you the Cheshire County Scout Council accounts for 2019. As the Chairman has just indicated in his report, the county has yet again another exciting and enjoyable Scouting year. Likewise, the financial front, we continue to invest in our resources for and in our members for the benefit of Scouting now and the future. The trustees have endeavoured to maintain and fund the infrastructure of Scouting, campsite maintenance, health and safety reviews, childcare issues, and as a basic admin and support. Many of these matters being supported by a large number of people with which, without their support, we could not exist. Our grateful thanks to them all. If I might take you now through the detail of some of the accounts and refer you to, in this instance, first with those who have accounts to page 2. This is not on the screen, Nigel, I'm afraid. This was a clarification query that came in late yesterday and amended accordingly. The figures in the reserves available are 343,296 on page 2 was amended to 362,880 with an available figure, instead of being 247,923, of 267,507. The up-to-date accounts has been amended and on the website if you so wish to follow it through. Page 4, which is the top part of which is on the screen in front of you now, the statement of financial activities. As you can see, the 2018 figure for legacies was rather high than 2019 due to a legacy of some £78,000. And we have not received any large legacies this year. What you will see when you look at the campsites on the expenditure side, which is on the next slide, we excuse me, we have reduced the loss of the campsite over last year by some 38,000. The other figures of income speak for themselves. The Scouting activities, Duke of Edinburgh Awards, Cheshire Hike, the World Scout Jamboree, the Cheshire Freemasons charity where we spent group computers. Sorry. Now we're on the, I'm getting mixed up now. We're on the expenditure side as opposed to the income, which is the bottom part. We managed to reduce the provisions made, as Peter has said, in 2018 for the costs of development in Scouting in Cheshire by some £7,000, which is shown on the figures in front of you, while spending some £15,000 on supporting the WSJ, World Scout Jamboree in USA. Having spent some £34,000 of the donations from the Cheshire Freemasons on Lakeview last year, we have used some £12,000 purchasing OSM packages for the County Scout groups, and have spent the remaining £3,500 in 2020 on further OSM packages, and we are extremely grateful for their grant of £50,000 in 2018. The rest of the figures shown speak for themselves on the D of E, Cheshire Hike, etc. I now refer you to page 5, which will be on your screen. No, the top bit, Nigel. Oh, sorry, next page, please. Thank you. This is the top part, the assets of the county. The balance sheet, the executive invested as Peter has said, from some £14,000 on a new generator at Tatton campsite, replacing the existing generator, which was supplied by the Tatton Park, which has died of old age. Whilst reduction in funds for 2019 of £1,883 for the year are shown in the bottom part of this slide in the funds maintained by the county. Can you take the next slide, Nigel, please? Thank you. That statement shows all the various funds that we maintain in the county, and the 3,828 remaining for the Cheshire Freemasons Fund for OSM spent this year, and the other resources available for the future. Clearly, COVID-19 is having adverse effects on the finances of Scouting at national, county, district and group levels. The executive has already established 2 working groups. One to look how we can reduce our county expenditure and potentially increase funding from outside sources. And the second working group specifically looking at capitation fees, in particular the county portion of the overall fee charged to young members. Despite this, the county will still endeavour to continue to support its members in their various scouting activities, both in the UK and overseas. Before I close, I would like to thank our examiner, Andrew Ellis, and his staff for the work they will be doing shortly to our accounts, as at the moment they have not been able to finish their examination. As some of you may be aware, I am retiring as Treasurer from 31st December 2020. I would like to thank you for your support over my 20 years in office, and may I wish you all well in the future. If you wish to raise any questions, will you please use the online facility and I will respond by email. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, I formally present the accounts for your adoption.
Thank you, Edward. Nigel, have any questions been submitted for Peter and Edward in respect of their reports?
Yeah, I've just got one question asking why we've been presented unaudited accounts.
Because the auditors are not, the examiners are not open for business yet. They have closed their offices due to COVID-19.
Okay, that's the only question I've got.
At the earliest opportunity, Nigel.
Thank you, Edward. Could I ask the Council's approval to adopt the annual report of the County Executive and the annual statement of accounts as presented, on the understanding that they have not been reviewed by the independent examiner due to the COVID-19 situation? The County Executive don't expect any issues, and once the examiner's report is received, the accounts will be filed with the Charity Commission. Should the examiner note anything that warrants a material change in these accounts, an extraordinary general meeting would be called to report any material change and to approve restated accounts. Could I ask that you vote in favour or against the report? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We now move on to the appointment of the county chair. I'm going to call on our County Commissioner, Graham Phillips, to make his nomination.
So,
Can't hear you.
Graham, you are muted there. Try again.
there we go. It wouldn't unmute me. Sorry about that. So it gives me great pleasure to nominate Peter Mather as our county chairperson. Peter has served the county well for many years. He brings his wit and whatever to the meetings, as to the AGM. I'm delighted that Peter's agreed to continue as county chair, and I think the executive committee is in safe hands. Thank you.
Could I ask the council's approval for the county commissioner's nomination of Peter Mather to continue in the role as county chair? Thank you, everyone. We're now on item 7, the county council membership. Could I ask Janet to detail the nominated and co-opted members of the council?
All the nominated and co-opted members are detailed on the council membership list, circulated electronically to members of council prior to the meeting.
Could I ask for the council's approval of nominated members? Before we move on to the election of County Secretary and County Treasurer, I would like to record our thanks to Sue Appleton, who stood down as County Secretary towards the end of 2019, following many, many years of service in the role of County Secretary. In particular, we want to thank her for the many years that she guided the conduct of the County AGM, and we wish her all the very best for the future. I'd like to announce now that Janet Williamson, who has been the acting secretary, has been nominated and seconded to the office of County Secretary. There are no other nominations. I'd like to ask the council's approval of the nomination of Janet as our County Secretary. You're in, Janet. I would like to announce that Edward Appleton has been nominated and seconded to the office of County Treasurer, but has given his intention to finish at the end of the financial year, 31st December 2020. Colin Humphrey has been nominated and seconded to the office of County Treasurer, with the intention of working alongside Edward as part of a handover process, assuming the role and the office on the 1st of January 2021. There are no other nominations. Could I ask the Council's approval of the nomination of Edward as County Treasurer until the 31st of December 2020, and for Colin Humphrey to be our new County Treasurer from the 1st of January 2021? Thank you, everyone. I'm now going to call on our new County Secretary, Janet, to announce this year's election procedure.
There are up to 5 vacancies on the Executive Committee. Simon Appleton and John Dooley were elected at the 2018 AGM and cannot be re-elected, having completed 2 terms of 2 years. Nigel Flatman, Assistant County Commissioner Events, was elected at the 2019 AGM and serves for a further year. Dave Metcalfe, Assistant County Commissioner Inclusion, was elected at the 2018 AGM and has been nominated and seconded and is standing for election for a second term of 2 years. There are no other nominations, therefore there is no need for a ballot.
Thank you, Janet. I would like to ask the Council's thanks that they are recorded for Simon Appleton and John Dooley for their service as members of the County Executive Committee. And I'm going to ask the Council's approval for the re-election of Dave Metcalfe. Thank you, everyone. I'd now like to call on Janet to inform the meeting of co-opted members of the County Executive Committee.
Dave Hopley and Val Thomason, Deputy County Commissioners, are co-opted to the County Executive Committee.
And Graham, could you inform the meeting of your nominations of members of the County Executive Committee?
So I'm very happy to nominate Michael Shields, who's the MD of Claymore Business Machines, and represents Cheshire Freemasonry on the executive. Paul Gibson is our activity centre manager, and Philip Cox, who is the CEO of Cheshire and Warrington Local Enterprise Partnership, and in fact chairs our campsite executive committee. And I'd like to bring on board again John Dooley, the Assistant County Commissioner for Development, to join the Executive Committee as one of my nominated members.
Thank you, Graham. Could I ask the Council's approval for the County Commissioners' nominations of Michael Shields, Paul Gibson, Philip Cox and John Dooley? Thank you. I'd like to call on Janet now to confirm our nominated members to serve on the Council of the Scout Association.
At the 2017 annual general meeting, Dave Hopley and Val Thomason were nominated to serve as representatives on the Council of the Scout Association for a period of 3 years. Dave Hopley has both been nominated and seconded and is standing for election for a further term of 3 years. And Oliver Chambers, District Commissioner for Mersey Weaver, has been nominated and seconded and is standing for election for a first term of 3 years. There are no other nominations, therefore there is no need for a ballot. At the 2018 annual general meeting, Alex Dodd, an assistant section leader and member of the Youth Forum from Chester District, and Sean Hooper, an assistant section leader and member of the Scout Network from Warrington East, were nominated to serve as youth representatives on the Council of the Scout Association for a period of 3 years and serve for a further year.
Thank you, Janet. Could I ask the Council's approval for Dave Hopley and Oliver Chambers to serve as representatives on the Council of the Scout Association for a period of 3 years? Thank you. There's now going to be a slide showing the new executive committee and nominated members for 2020 to 2021. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you. Could I call upon the County Treasurer, Edward, to propose the appointment of the independent examiner? Thank you, Edward. Edward, could you unmute yourself? Could you
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
My apologies. I'd like to nominate Andrew Ellis, FCA, of Axel Chartered Accountants, as the independent examiner for the forthcoming year ending December 2020.
Could I ask the Council's approval for the nomination of independent examiner? Thank you, everyone. Our next agenda item is the annual review and presentations, and I would like to call upon our County Commissioner, Graham, to give his annual review of scouting in Cheshire and presentations. Thanks, Graham.
So, good evening, everybody, and I'm rather liking all this online meetings. It's I can't tell you how much travel it's cut down on. I feel almost righteous. I'm helping save the planet. Just before I go on to the more substantive things, I'd like to say, can I just start off with some thanks? First of all, I'd like to thank Debbie, my wife, for her continued support. And then there's a few people who have been working really closely with me, certainly over the last 12 months, but in particular the last few months of COVID-19 situation. So I really want to thank my two deputies, Val Thomason and Dave Hopley, who continue to support me and take on all sorts of projects for me. And particularly over the last few months, Nigel Flatman, who's worked really hard in the background, helping us to deliver digital platforms and events and activities digitally. And John Dooley, who has quietly worked in the background, supporting me as we try to deal with the compliance issues we have in the county. And then I'd like to just thank the district commissioners. We're really fortunate in Cheshire that I've got every district covered by, not just covered by a DC, but an effective DC. And certainly during the since March, we've been meeting initially every week and now every other week. And the DCs and their input have been absolutely critical to the strategy and the tactics that we've been using here to try and support frontline delivery of scouting. And I am really grateful to the team of DCs for the amount of time and effort they put into this over the over the 12 months, but in particular the last 4 or 5 months. So to all of those people, thank you very much. So if we just move on and put this next slide on for me. So I think the first thing to say is this is Cheshire. Some people may have seen this. We have a total membership of just over 13,500, 10,500 young people. It doesn't take a maths genius to work out. We're talking about 3,000 adult supporters there. I think sometimes people don't realise just the size of this county. You know, we have 148 scout groups, 586 individual sections, and as you know, they're organised into 10 scout districts. The census result this year just about washed its face. Who knows what's going to happen when we get to January, February next year? But I don't think any of that should mask the fact that we've had 15 years of, and over that 15 years, we've seen a significant growth in scouting in Cheshire. And notwithstanding what the temporary impact of COVID might be over the next 12, maybe 24 months, I think there is real potential in Cheshire for very significant growth. And some of you will have heard me speak about, the challenge I think that the expansion in housing stock in this county may present in terms of new families moving in as a result of the investment that is chasing the HS2 development, which could see the county significantly grow in size over the next 10 to 15 years. But I think that's for tomorrow. For today, 13,500, it still makes us the single largest provider of non-formal education in the county. And along with the guides, we dwarf every other sort of provision, whether it's statutory or voluntary. So we are a very important part in the community and the life of this county. So moving on, I just wanted to touch on training. So the county training team have really embraced the new world, the new COVID world. Over this 7-day period from last Saturday to the coming Saturday, we have now about 230 people sitting on training modules. There's 40 of them tonight going through module 5. We've now almost got all the training modules as online delivery, and the two that are a bit of a challenge they're working on at the moment. The point is that it is now almost probable that we will have some people that will be awarded their Wood badge even though we've been in lockdown. And I think it's a real credit to the county training team and the trainers that they've embraced this new technology and we're able to continue to provide this training. In fact, as far as training is concerned, the most often asked question now is, when we get back to normal, are you going to carry on doing all this online? So well done to them. Okay, Nigel. So I could spend a lot of time talking about what we did last year, but I think really we need to start to focus on where we are at the moment with COVID-19. I'm really pleased that, with the effort of both the district teams, the county team, and particularly groups, we reckon that about 95% of all scout groups in Cheshire are delivering some form of online scouting experience, whether that is the regular meetings, the camp at home work that's been done, encouraging people to get involved when we did Cube. I think this is really, it's a really remarkable result. And I really am so grateful to all the leaders who are working hard to embrace this technology, working how to mute and unmute themselves and all the rest of it. So well done to everybody. That translates to about 55% of all the sections, Beavers, Clubs, Scouts, Explorer Scouts, delivering some form of online scouting. We've just, over the last week or so, launched the Big Cheshire Share, and that is where we are inviting those leaders who are either good with practical skills or good with technical knowledge in terms of delivering online programs to offer assistance to those sections who are struggling. And we've got a number of people who have come forward, and so if there's anybody who knows of a group who is struggling, then they just need to get in touch with us, and we'll see what we can do to try and help them and support them, so that they're in a position to deliver at least some online scouting and to keep young people engaged and on that scouting journey. Okay, Nigel. So in terms of finances, both county and districts are reviewing expenditure to potentially limit any increases on locally applied levies to do with the capitation fee. We are working with DCs, and we are constantly investigating any new funding streams we think we can apply for. Special funds are being established to support groups and individuals. I don't necessarily think this is going to kick in until probably early next year. We have always had this sort of system in Cheshire, but we're strengthening it up so that if an individual is going to struggle with whatever capitation fee ends up being next year, their first port of call would be to the group. If the group can't meet that need, then it would escalate to the district. If the districts are then unable to meet that need, it will come through to county. And we have funds, and we will put aside special funds to deal with those. The same is true with groups. I don't underestimate the challenge that some groups are going to find themselves in when it comes to the costs of maybe reopening and starting face-to-face scouting, and the loss of income in this year. So we are focused on making sure that scout groups, wherever possible, survive this COVID-19 crisis, and that individuals are not disadvantaged out of scouting as a result of financial constraints. One of the things we have done is we've done most groups will, a lot of leaders will have already seen this, but we have had a look at money that is available to us. We have 60 or we had 60 groups that were not claiming gift aid. That looked like a figure of £360,000 that could be brought into scouting locally, into groups. Some groups have now started that process. If you're one that hasn't, I urge you to get on with that. If you're stuck and you don't understand, or your Treasury doesn't understand it, then speak to your district commissioner, and they'll provide the support. The other thing is about the rates relief, and there's about 90 groups that own their own headquarters in Cheshire. If every one of those groups applied, it would equate to about £900,000 coming into the county. That led us to say there's about 1.2 million of potential funding that was available, and if all that did come in, and I accept it is not equally spread across every group, but I can't believe that we can't effectively run amazing scouting in Cheshire with that sort of money coming in. At the moment, we've got it's probably now getting nearer 550,000 of money that's coming from grants. There are a couple of groups that were rejected. We've appealed, and currently we've won every appeal we've made. And there's £10,000, but five has already come in from the Cheshire Community Foundation, and there's another 5 that is promised and will probably come in the next 6 weeks or so. So there is some activity going on, and so I think that's pretty good news. And I suppose that one of the positives that has come out of this is I genuinely believe that there's more collaboration than ever. So as I've said, from a county perspective, I started meeting with the DCs online weekly. That's now gone to bi-weekly. We have a number of county task and finish groups to accelerate delivery of projects. We've held county team meetings online. The local training managers are meeting at least twice a month. And then we started an all-leader briefing that we've run one of, and there's another one of those that I'll plan to run towards the end of this month. And in the districts, I know that most districts are running GSL meetings at least monthly now in districts, and there's regular district team meetings in most districts. So one of the other big booms, if you like, has been our use of social media. And in fairness, this has been really driven by a one-man band called Dave Opley. So I'll just hand over to Dave for a few minutes and let him explain what we've been trying to do in terms of social media in case you've missed any of it. Dave.
Thank you very much, Graham. So in terms of social media, we've been using this as a main platform to engage with members during the lockdown, because it's really easy for us to be able to reach as many members as possible and their families through those mediums. So if I just explain a few of the shots that are on that first slide, Nigel, if you just drag me back to that one for a second. So the top left-hand corner there with the shot with me on it, with the well, I'm in the same room, is from a Promise House Party, which we did for St George's Day, which was basically a live event that we did, a piece of video that we could all renew our promise together as members of Cheshire Scouting together on St George's Day, even though we were apart. If you missed that for any reason, then it is still available online to watch again. And the pictures at the bottom there, the first, second, and third are from 2 weeks ago's Cheshire Taskmaster competition that Cheshire Youth Forum have been running. And that was for young people to be making the tallest tower out of edible produce. So the one that came in first there, that one on the left-hand side, is actually completely made out of gingerbread edible tower. So that was a really good taskmaster the other week. So if I talk to you about what we've been doing on a week-by-week basis, on a day-by-day basis on the next slide, you can see there that every day of the week we've been pushing stuff out on social media, and that's pushing stuff out to try and get content back again. And we've literally just been inundated with content from individual scouters, both adults, young people, and from groups as well. And many of our groups who weren't engaged on social media before now are as well on all those channels. So whether that's on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, we're using all of those different channels to engage with our members. So on a Monday, we do something called Monday Motivation, a motivational quote by our Chief Scout Bear Grylls, with an accompanying image. We've got a huge stock library of Bear Grylls images because we've been really lucky in Cheshire to host Bear a number of times throughout his tenure, which really good news has been extended as well. So that's really great. So hopefully we might see him back up in Cheshire again soon. And we've started doing on a Monday as well the launch of our weekly Taskmaster. So this is a challenge to all Scouters to do a particular task and then to send their results back in either videos or photographs to us. On a Tuesday, we do something called Tip Tuesday. So a top tip. We've largely been using this for stay-at-home TV, which if you haven't seen that, we've produced now over 30 short videos
And this week, Eve from Knutsford Kite ESU has been showing us how to make Chinese lanterns. So that came out on today's Tip Tuesday Stay at Home TV. On a Wednesday, we do something called Wellbeing Wednesday. We've been encouraging members to get together and to have a coffee together, have a cake in the comfort of their own home, on Zoom or on GoToMeeting or whatever platform, to check in with one another. And I think that's been really good for everybody's mental health. It's quite hard staying at home, particularly in the early days of lockdown when you couldn't really go anywhere. It was nice for people to be able to check in. We had lots of lovely photos sent in for that. We've also been doing a midweek mini Taskmaster, so just a very simple challenge. So I would give a shout out to Graham Proctor, who last week was on camera chucking a tea bag into a coffee cup from a large distance away. So that was a distance throwing challenge. On a Thursday, we do something called Throwback Thursday. So this is about looking back on the really good times that we've had in scouting, and we've shown lots of videos from jamborees gone by to World Scout jamborees. And this last week, with it being Volunteers Week, we celebrated the volunteers who help us to deliver Cheshire Scouts International Jamboree. So we showed the volunteers video, the IST video from Jamboree last week. We also do a weekly quiz on a Thursday that Nigel hosts at 11 o'clock. And that started out as an active support quiz and is now rolled out for anybody to be able to join that if they're at home and available to do that on a Thursday. On Friday, we've been doing Phone a Friend Friday. This has been really popular. It's about checking in with people, making sure that people are okay, particularly if we've not spoken to people for, say, a few weeks, extending members of the family or friends to reach out on a Friday on either FaceTime or just a telephone call. It's fine just to check in with people and make sure people are okay. On Saturday, we've been doing shout outs. Particularly, we've received lots of shout outs to people. We've made a whole web page of these for people who are helping with the coronavirus, the COVID-19 effort in whatever way. And we know that lots of our members are key workers or are supporting the effort in some way. So, like I say, a huge web page full of shout outs for people on there now, and we're encouraging more of those to keep on coming in. And on Sunday, we do a celebration of the week, sending selfies of various scouting activities that people have been doing. And people really have been doing lots of fantastic scouting activities out there. As Charlie said in her reflection earlier on, being really innovative, really creative at this time. I know Graham said right from the start, it's a marathon, not a sprint, this. And it's been fantastic to see how many groups have really come on board with this and have also been supporting one another as well through the Big Cheshire Share. A couple of the big events that we've done, Virtual Cube 2020 and, like I say, Promise House Party, all of these videos and all the stay-at-home TV series and everything, that's all available on the county website and can be watched again. Virtual Cube, I have to say, was absolutely brilliant. Some thanks on that to the Jamboree team who really pulled together the activity programme for that, along with our assistant county commissioners, for putting together things like wake up, shake up, ceremonies, cook-alongs, Graham Proctor doing his drumming. It was, I have to say, it was a brilliant weekend and one that can be relived again online. So that's what we've been doing on a week by week, huge amount there. If you've missed any of it and you want to get involved, then just in terms of a call to action on that, if you don't already, please follow Cheshire Scouts on Twitter and Instagram, both with your personal accounts and also your group accounts as well. And we will follow you back and reshare all of your content as well. Equally, like the Cheshire Scouts page on Facebook and subscribe to our Cheshire Scouts channel on YouTube. And the really important thing is if you like our content and you reshare it, then that's how we widen our reach. We have been doing really fantastic in terms of our stats, both in terms of our audience growth and the amount of people that we're engaging online, which is really good and a credit to all of you. Just lastly, just what I just referred to home scouting at home. We've sent out over 70 of these certificates now to groups who've really embraced scouting from home. And they're ones who've really shown us some really cool, innovative ideas that we've reshared online. Lots of groups particularly getting involved in camping at home during April. We had some young people who camped out every single night in April, and then also continued that over the virtual Cube weekend as well. And some people, I think, who are still camping at home even now as we speak, which is really great. And I think these also showcase the work that people have done in embracing the Scouts Great Indoors programme, and supporting care homes and all those other fantastic things that groups are doing at the moment. As Graham said before, 95% of all of our groups are involved in scouting from home, some description, and 55% of all of our sections. And I think that is really great, and that's growing every single day as well, as we continue through lockdown. So a big thank you to all of you, and to continue the work that you're doing and continue sharing things on social media, because I think the other thing that has created is an interest in people wanting to join digital scouting. So not just not just want to join inquiries about when we're back, but wanting to join us now to join in the fun from home. And the other thing is that we've had lots of parents who've contacted us who've just been so glad to have activities and things to do and things to keep the children occupied. So that's been really nice, and also to see parents getting involved in those activities themselves as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Dave, thanks very much for that. Just one thing I would say on that is those Taskmaster challenges that you're seeing started a couple of weeks ago, they're all designed, created and driven by the County Youth Forum.
Yeah.
So this literally is a group of young people who are putting this together. And I think they're doing an amazing job, putting a lot of time and effort into that. So I'm really grateful to them for that.
They are, yeah.
So just to finish, many of you who've heard me speak anywhere on almost any subject during the last month will know that compliance has been a very, very significant focus for us. So in the last month, about 900 compliance training modules have been validated and added to Compass, which is really good news. We still have about 600 adults who need to do safety, about 600, it's not quite as many as that because some of these numbers have now come down this week, but about 600 who need to do safeguarding and 1,000 plus who need to do GDPR. If you are one of those leaders buried somewhere, wherever you're listening to and joining the AGM, I would implore you to please do the online training and get the certificate sent in. This is really important. This is part of a national drive to get our compliance rate up. The last thing I want is Cheshire to be anywhere other than in the top 5 or certainly top 10 performing counties in terms of compliance training. So we are absolutely on a mission to deal with this. I have just about finished. I want to leave you with one other thing. We've talked a lot about what we're doing online in terms of supporting young people and adults. And the most frequent question I get at the moment is, when are we going to go back to face-to-face scouting? And the only answer I can give you is, in truth, we don't know. Certainly from a national perspective, there is no face-to-face scouting, and face-to-face scouting in any form can't start until, if you like, that embargo is lifted. Certainly from the conversations I've had with headquarters, the earliest this is likely to happen is September. And I think I've already made known that there is also a conversation that says it might even be into the new year. But the fact that, we're not sure when it's going to start doesn't stop us thinking about what we might do when we do restart. And one of the pieces of work that has been going on over the last 4 months has been to plan an Explorer Belt expedition for next year. It's been one of my ambitions for many, many years to have a county-supported expedition so that Explorer Scouts and Scout Network members could gain the Explorer belt, which is for anyone who takes part, is a self-organised, self-led expedition. It's a real adventure. I'm delighted that Graham Proctor, who looks after explorers at a county level, took this on, working with Ian, the network commissioner. They pulled together this proposition, which is to take people who want to have a go at gaining their Explorer belt to Iceland next year. And we closed the registrations, and we've got about 120 young people who want to participate in this, which is just staggering. My view was if we got 25, we'd have done really well. We've now got the issue about how we're going to manage all of this, and keeping our fingers crossed that we can actually fly to Iceland at some point next year as well. But I just leave that with you as a real positive for the way that we're dealing with what we're dealing with now, but we're also thinking about next year. We're thinking about Cheshire High. We're thinking about Cube. We're even starting to think about Chamboree. So there's lots of things to look forward to. And for those of you who are struggling with all this online stuff, you know, hang in there. It's not over yet, but it will be over at some point in the future. And we'll get back to what we're really good at, which is face-to-face scouting. Thank you for everything you do. Genuinely, you know, whatever role you have in scouting, I am really, really grateful for the support you give me, my team, your district teams, and the county in general. And that is at that point, I'm delighted to welcome to the AGM our Regional Commissioner, Nisbah Hussain, who joins us online. And Nisbah, great to have you with us. And we look forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. This is my first virtual AGM. I joined a district one a few weeks ago, so that was quite exciting, but this is my first county one. So thank you all for having me. It's really funny when I get introduced as Regional Commissioner because I forget that I am the RC. My first role in scouting was I was a beaver leader of a group I set up, and that's what I still see myself as doing. I'm a scout leader and I love working at the grassroots of the movement. And I know just how impassioned and how amazing all Scout volunteers are. I'm always in awe when I meet people that are telling me they've been doing scouting for 25, 30, 35 years. And it makes me feel like a complete newbie, but it also makes me understand just how amazing Scout volunteers are, that you all want to make such a difference, and you do make such a difference. And I genuinely cannot thank you enough for all that you do. I know what a difference it makes to the young people in my group, and I also see how much of a difference it makes across the board. Just like Graham mentioned, all those people signing up for an Explorer belt, those are the opportunities that young people are going to remember, and those experiences are what shape us to become the people we are. I saw a tweet from one of the districts in Cheshire a few weeks ago about a beaver leader who wasn't the most tech savvy before COVID started, but they'd taken it upon themselves to learn how to use technology to keep sessions going. And it actually made me smile. It was a Sunday morning. I hadn't been so well. I'd been in bed, and I saw that tweet, and it made me smile so much that everyone has embraced that we are in unprecedented times, but no one's letting that put us off. And that's the whole point of scouting. We are resilient. We all want to be that change, and we all want to make a difference. And so that beaver leader, she's in the Mersey Weavers district. So a big shout out to her. So thank you for making me smile, but thank you to you all. My own role in scouting is I'm a scout leader, and currently, given the circumstances that are all the protests that are happening throughout the world, it can be at times really quite disheartening to see what a world we can live in. But I think that's where scouting really makes a difference. We all embrace, that's the whole point of scouting. We're a worldwide network of individuals. And once you put on your necker, it doesn't matter where you're from, what colour you are, what faith you are, no faith, you're a scout. And I love that about scouting. It brings the whole world together. And I think when we have times of disillusionment, we can just look around young people. So for example, Charlie, who started off tonight, that's where the future is, and that's where our inspiration is. So thank you all for all the amazing things you do, and genuinely, I can't thank you enough. And that's me.
Graham and Nisbah, thank you both for such superb presentations. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And hope that we can see you sometime, Nisbah. down here in Cheshire. I'd now like to call on Janet to transact any other business permissible at an AGM.
The new county executive will meet at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, the 7th of July online, and that the 2021 annual general meeting will be held on Tuesday, the 8th of June, 2021 in Chester District.
Thank you, Janet. I'd like to now call on Will Burnham, who's the District Commissioner for Alderley, to give our vote of thanks. Thanks, Will.
Okay, thank you very much. I have the honour to provide the vote of thanks. So thanks to Charlotte O'Brien for her opening reflection, which was incredibly poignant start to our AGM on how Scouting has adapted, changed and overcome something that nobody ever expected. Our thanks to Sir William Davenport, our President, for his good wishes for us for the next 12 months. Our thanks to Val Thomason for presiding over our online AGM in Sir William's absence. And our thanks to our Regional Commissioner, Nisbah Hussain, for joining us. We have thanks to our outgoing Treasurer, Edward Appleton, and good luck to our new incoming Treasurer, Colin Humphrey. We have thanks to our trustees on the County Executive for their hard work this past year, supporting our 3,500 people in Cheshire. And we wish them good luck for the new County Executive for the year to come. We have thanks to our County Commissioner and his deputies. We have thanks to Teams Cheshire and to my fellow DCs. We have a special mention for thanks to Dave Hopley, who has pulled this AGM together as an online experience. And we have thanks to Nigel Flatman, who has worked behind the scenes to technically make this happen tonight. So it's thanks to everyone for joining us this evening. Thanks to Cheshire Scouts, to family, to friends, and good wishes for the year ahead. I'll pass you back over to Val.
Thanks, Will. That was lovely. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us tonight for the Cheshire Scout AGM. And goodbye, and I hope to see you soon. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, there's Nisbah.